Okay, this is gonna be a totally off-the-cuff video, and yes, my hair looks like that for a reason, because I just came straight out of bed, and yes, I actually mean the style of the hair, not the lack of it. But I did not plan to make a video at all today. It was a chill day, I didn't plan to make a video, but then I got the Lenovo P2, which I wasn't all that excited about. Yes, the specs sounded really nice, but I was just planning on making a review in about 2 weeks. But after using this for almost 2 hours now, I did not decide just to make a hands-on review, even though I've just used it 2 hours. Believe me, I've checked a lot of stuff, but I also decided to actually make an extended hands-on review or hands-on video in general, because there is so much to talk about this phone, and I'm completely blown away by this phone, especially for the price point of around 350 euros. I guess somewhere else you will find it even cheaper. And let's just quickly get through the specs, because these already sound more than impressive, even though I did not expect it to work that well as a whole package. Okay, 5.5-inch AMOLED display, 1080p, and actually I didn't even know at first that it was an AMOLED display. I thought it was IPS just from the price point and so on, but I used it and I was so impressed by the display, and I would say this is maybe, even if not the same, of the Moto Z Play, which I also liked a lot, and I said it was a flagship display, and it is the case here as well. Now, the Snapdragon 625, if you have seen any of my 625 reviews, from the Huawei Nova here, the Nova Plus, which will also come, the Z Play, and also the Zenfone 3, you know that I think this is the best SoC of this year. Maybe not the fastest one, but in overall performance and the overall experience and efficiency especially, this is the one to go for. 3 or 4 gigabytes of RAM, I'm not quite so sure, because I only found the 3 gigabyte version in Germany with 32 gigabyte. Maybe in Asia or somewhere else you will find the 4 gigabyte version as well with 64 gigabytes. The highlight here, 5100 milliamps hour of battery, amazing, and the weight and size also, that is all good. So let's actually switch the cam and go into this device, because I want to show one thing. Now, you might think because of the big battery and so on, it is big, but here, this is the Huawei Nova Plus, which has around the 3300 milliamp hour battery. Now let's compare those. As you can see, yes, it is a little bit taller. It is almost not noticeably wider and a little bit thicker, but this has so much more battery life. And I even have to say that the build quality is amazing, because look at how solid this feels. This is absolutely solid. It doesn't creak at all. It is absolutely executed on an amazing level. The only thing, if I would have to find something to point out, is that you can hear that the buttons here wiggle a little bit. Other than that, the tactile feedback is absolutely as well top. Also, we can see the NFC logo, we can see the really nice curves, and I wouldn't even say that the bezels are all that big. As you can see here, absolutely still absolutely fine in my opinion. Of course, we have a notification LED, and no, we don't have capacitive buttons, but I will get into why that is not necessary at all in this case. Here we have the LEDs, the camera, antenna bands, microphone, and of course also the headphone jack, which I didn't get to try yet. Here we have the SIM card and SD card tray, and this is a battery saving slider. I will show what it does unless I forget it. Here we have micro USB. It's a little bit odd that we still have that, but it's fine. And we in the box even get an USB on the go adapter, which is quite nice. We have the speaker on the right side, this one is fake. And on the left side we have the buttons. I think really nicely placed, and they work out really, really well. Now, fingerprint reader on the front, and as you can see here, you don't even have to press it, just place your finger, and this is, I would say, one of the best working ones on the front, or if not in general, that I've seen, because as you can see, I'm not doing a lot. This is absolutely working great. I absolutely love it. It's fast, top. Now, next thing to talk about would be the display. Let's get into that, and since I already said it is pretty much the same as on the Moto Z Play, you know what to expect, because I am right now in the vivid mode, and I will show this on a review. There's a standard mode, which is more natural, but this one is so nicely balanced, because yes, colors are saturated a little bit more than they should be, but in such a nice and pleasant way that I'm absolutely fine with it. Viewing angles are stable, maximum brightness of house still seems great, white point is set right, black, since it is AMOLED, is amazing. Nothing further to add here. Now, you might think, since the speaker's on the bottom, it sucks. Well, I have to disappoint you here as well, because no, it does not. Okay, here. Okay, it is on the bottom. Sure, you could block it, but in normal use, I didn't even do that. And then it is the sound that actually impressed me, because it is very loud and sounds very full and rich. What I noticed that on the highest maximum volume level, it tends to distort just a little bit. But even if you go just one step lower, it's still fine and it's still loud enough and it sounds great. Yes, you have to cap it to make the sound the best, because otherwise it sounds a little bit harsh in terms of highs, but still a great headphone. And if they at least in some way made it similar in terms of the headphone jack like they did on the Moto Z Play, this is actually a really good one. Now, next highlight would be the performance, because let me show you one thing. Let's kill off all the apps, load them. Because I definitely, I was always impressed by the 625, and you will see this here once again. So let's just load this app, let it fully render. Now let's launch an app. As you can see here, launch times are absolutely fine in my opinion. Maybe there are faster ones out there, but so far I can't complain at all, because it is just the overall experience that is so great. So app launch times are fine. Now let's look at that scrolling. And due to being AMOLED, it just looks like 60 frames per second smooth. And as you can see, this is great. Yes, sometimes you can make it trip, but yeah, I didn't even manage to do that here in the video. Now let's check another app here. As you can see, I just can't say anything else. I'm so happy to see such a great performance in this price point for around 350 euros. And I guess somewhere else you will find it even cheaper. And I just like that a lot. Yes, you will see maybe some little lag on Google+, but this is already so great. Multitasking seems absolutely fine. And yeah, as you can see here, it didn't have to reload anything. And just in case you are wondering now about the buttons, I will get into that in the software part. Real quick, I did some brief hands-on on the gaming, and this seems to be on par with all the other 625 phones, which means, and I will show this of course in the review, that you can play all the games with quite moderate frame rates. That is not on a flagship level just yet, but fully playable, and that is great. Battery life, okay, let me quickly check one stat here, and you can actually see this as well if we check the battery stats. And I did on this charge, since it was fully charged, my whole setup, which definitely drains a lot more. It has to sync all the stuff in the back. And as you can see, we are at 88% and I am at 1 hour and 45. Okay, yes, I am on the airplane mode since I didn't have an SIM card in yet, but battery life seems to be more than promising, especially since the Moto Z with a 3500 milliamp hour battery already had such a great battery life. And this one with a 5100 battery has to be even better. Believe me that. Okay, now let's talk about that software, and let me quickly first off show what I mean with the buttons, because we only have the one button and no capacitive buttons. But if you are someone who is used from Lenovo or Motorola to have the on-screen buttons, no problem. Just swipe up and you will have those, and you can use them as you want to. And if we go, for example, now in the system buttons, you can actually change the order here if you want that. But what I found to be even nicer is you can make that height, because you can see the option you turn on fingerprint gesture device. This is this. If you press it once, it is the back button. If you long hold it, you don't have to press it, then it is the recent apps. Of course, this takes a little bit longer than just hitting a button, because you have to long hold it, but it works. And if you press it, it is home. So you actually don't even need buttons, but if you want them, you can just slide them up and they are there. And if not, just hide them. So I think this is a great solution. I absolutely like that one. And if you go back into the settings, now let's talk a little bit more about the software, because I think this is better than what we got on the Motorola devices or on the Moto devices from Lenovo this year. Okay, let's check a few features. As you can see here, we have some extra things like quick snap, double tap, and blah, blah, blah. You know that. Knock to light. This means double tap to turn on the screen. We have micro screen. So if I would make a C, you would have, which I don't think I will be able to do because I have Smart Task Launcher. But actually, let me turn this off just so I can actually show this to you. Let's get on this. If I make a C, okay, I turned it off. You will see you have the small screen. You can now change the size. Of course, place it also on the other side. And this works great because you can use it now if you have a smaller hand, absolutely without any problems. Just make it big again. So we have that. Let me turn this off since I don't need that. We have smart scenes, so you can select some of your own. White touch, which is actually a quite nice feature, because here, if I enable that, you have this button, and if you press it once, it is back as well. If you press it double, it will expand, and if you long press it, it will be home. And as you can see, you can actually customize this. If we go into these settings, you will see that you have the floating button settings. You can actually make it smaller or more transparent. You can also change what the buttons do. As you can see here, return to home screen, lock screen, show on notification bar, and it deploys a wider channel. And of course, and if we do that, you can see extra options. You can here, for example, see the recent apps, you can see the home button and so on. Favorites, for example, you could now set up specific apps to be shown, and you can rearrange that, and you can set up your own. Just long press it, then it will be away, and then you have these as an option if you want to. So this is kind of ingenious in some way. Not that I'm going to use it since I use Smart Desk Launcher, but it is great to have. Now, let's get back into the settings. What else do we have? In terms of features, we have, of course, the VR switch mode. We have dual app profiles, so you could launch 2 instances of one app with different profiles and so on. High sensitivity touch, press the button twice, quick flashlight, which is a little bit weird because you have to press the button. Or this didn't always work for me. But no, you actually have to do it on the lock screen. Yeah, but since it unlocks that fast. So this is something that I didn't figure out that well yet. Let me actually use the on-screen buttons because this works a little bit more convenient here. And then we have the screen tone volume. This is it for it. I showed off that. Notification center, you can rearrange here all the buttons. You can see the extra ones. Display, of course, you can change the percentage. And yeah, you know these, not all that impressive. In display, we have the color mode, which allows you to go to normal if you want it more accurate, but I definitely like vibrant. Of course, the rest is pretty much done. What I actually like about the LED notifications is that you can, and this is almost one of the first devices that I've seen, maybe besides the OnePlus, where you can actually choose what color you want to do for what effect. As you can see, unread text message, select the color, email, select the color, and notifications. I think this is genius, and you can even set this to be turned off in specific times. So great. Absolutely, I like what they did in terms of extra functionality. And here you can see, I've already mentioned this one. If you switch that up, I just turned off the screen, sorry. You will be in this ultra power saving mode, which means that you only have like 6 options available. So you can get to the phone, contacts, SMS, you can get into the calendar, and you can launch the calculator. As you can see here, if you go home, you will always land here. And as you can see, so this is to save extremely battery life, but I don't know how much of extreme power use we have to be to drain this battery that you would need that. So it is highly impressive, and maybe I even missed some of the things that are included here, but I guess I covered the most important parts, and I'm definitely impressed with this software, what I see so far, because for me it is actually more user-friendly and more customizable than it was the case with Moto device. And yes, I have to show off one thing, because it wouldn't be an extended proper hands-on if I wouldn't show off the Lenovo launcher that I'm not going to use. But it is actually not bad, because as you can see here in the preferences, you can change the default launcher. You have home screen settings for transitions if you want that. You have a bunch of them available, as you can see here. Draw settings, you could make it vertical or paged. Change the sorting mode, and the draw background, as you can just choose on your own. And then you have the backup and recovery. So nothing super special, but you have the app drawer, and it works out nice. But yeah, I'm still going to change back to Nova. But one thing that I have to actually point out, which is cool, and this is something that is absolutely something minor, but you swipe down and you get your notifications. And I don't get why this is not always the case. And in these notifications, of course, here you would have the clear all tasks button, but here on the left you actually have, as you can see here, the notification log. I've never even seen this on a different phone. I think once seen it somewhere, but I can't remember where. And I gotta say, top. So in terms of software, I find it more useful, more customizable than what Moto has to offer. Yes, we don't have the twist around options and so things, but it's not necessary. In terms of camera, this is maybe where you will see a bigger difference compared to the great flagships of these days or these phones, because I tried the selfies just briefly. Doesn't look all that great because it's just a 5 megapixel cam. The one on the back actually looks quite decent, looks promising, because I tried just really quickly. We have 4K video and we have quite a good autofocus and so on, so it seems to deliver. I just can't say quite yet how, but I would assume, I would say around maybe Moto Z Play territory, which isn't amazing. But let's round this together to one thing again: build quality. And I don't have any pros and cons yet, since I definitely have to go through the review. This is just an extended hands-on, which I get it is kind of a review, which I shouldn't be able to do just yet, but I'm going to. So I will go through the categories that I usually do. Design, great. for the battery size and for the display size, this is actually manageable, quite nice with one, especially since it's quite easy to navigate everything with the middle button, and that one works great with all three gestures or functions in one. Then we have the display, which is absolutely super nice. We have the speaker that is loud and sounds great. Headphone jack, I'm pretty sure, will satisfy as well. The performance seems maybe like 1 or 2% maybe less like on the Moto Z Play, but this, as I said, on the Moto Z Play is for me a flagship level, because it's maybe not always quite as fast, but it is super smooth, and it definitely is a lot smoother than all the other 625 phones like the Huawei Nova, the Nova Plus, and also the Zenfone 3 from Asus. This is so close to the Moto Z Play, but maybe since this is still syncing in the background some stuff, since it's just being used in 2 hours, so it could get even on the same level, but it's so close that no one ever would notice the difference, which is top. The battery life will be even better, and this device actually feels a lot better in my opinion than the Moto Z Play, because I didn't like the hard edges so much. Yes, you lose the Moto mod covers, but therefore it feels so amazing, which is just great, especially for the size, and I don't usually like phablets. What else? Software, like I said. And something, yes, I have to actually show this as well, because this is something that I did not expect to see at all on a Moto or on a Lenovo device. We have a theming engine, a theme center, as you can see. Okay, it maybe doesn't change, at least the ones I tried doesn't change things like this in terms of design, but it changes the icons, as you can see here. And did anyone expect that from Lenovo? I did not. So I am kind of blown away, and I'm already going out on a limb already. This phone for $350, this is the one phone that from now on I will recommend at the around $300 to $400, maybe even more price range, because I don't see anything that comes close in the overall qualities. Not even the Moto Z Play, especially not something like the Huawei Nova that is very similar. Doesn't even have the same performance, not the same sound, not the same battery life. Display is very nice, but AMOLED, nicer calibrated in my opinion. Feels a little bit small, okay, and the camera maybe could be better. But it also costs $440 at least here in Europe, where this one is $350 and it just came out yet, so it didn't even get the chance for a price drop. So this, even though I haven't completely fully reviewed it, that is the phone that I'm going to review, because I don't see anything that could really disappoint me. Like I said, the selfie cam doesn't look great, but the one on the back looks solid enough. If you don't need the very best camera and you don't need a flagship, this phone, yes, this and nothing else. I don't know, I'm super blown away, and I would personally get the gray version because it has the black front, which is something I would just perfectly prefer. Video is long enough, and I pretty much think this will be longer than the review already was. But I hope you enjoyed it, subscription and so on, and yeah, this is it. Goodbye, have a nice day.